This is absolutely huge for the Los Angeles Lakers as trade reports continue to escalate, including one new report that changes everything for the Lakers. But we also have LeBron James coming out and dropping some huge comments and revealing multiple Lakers updates surrounding their future, as well as some very other interesting things on this episode to go over today, folks. Before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. About 90% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel. Thank you guys for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today, and there's a lot of talk surrounding the Lakers now and trade rumors. They're really starting to pick up. The draft is inching closer and closer. Reports, the NBA Finals are going on tonight. There's a bunch of different things that are happening, but we have some big news to go over as it pertains to the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's an interesting one. We're going to start with a brand new report that has dropped surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers and one particular center, and one we've heard about lots here on this channel. New report emerges on potential Lakers trade target. The Lakers have been tied to Utah Jazz center, of course, Walker-Kessler, for quite some time. They most recently tried to acquire him back at the deadline. Per March report, Mark Stein says the Lakers and the Knicks tried to discuss a trade with the Jazz, but Utah wasn't interested. League sources say the Knicks were right there with the Lakers in their determination before the trade deadline to try to convince Utah to engage in talks. No dice, though. The Jazz made it clear they wanted no part of entertaining Kessler trade pitches in season. Key part of this report is in season. You move on here now to a very recent report from 2 days ago. Numerous league sources have indicated they believe the Jazz are going to be active over the next several weeks. League sources have said they expect conversations to include Walker, Kessler, and Lauri Markkanen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very big, and it truly changes everything for the outlook of this team, because for the longest time, and we know if you've been following the Lakers for a while, following this channel for a while, Walker Kessler has been the #1 goal for the Los Angeles Lakers and seemingly has been the perfect fit as a center, even dating back to before they acquired Luka Doncic, when AD, briefly before he got traded, mentioned how he wants another center on this team, or a true five, so he could play in his more natural position at the 4 spot. Ladies and gentlemen, that might be coming close to a reality here, as finally, and again, we know there's a ton of interest there. There's been interest in the past, but league sources say now that the Jazz finally are willing to entertain, prior to the draft, we assume, trade talks for both Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. And of course, this is big because Kessler could be the type of rim protector and vertical lob threat LA needs alongside LeBron and Doncic. He's also paid on a rookie contract, which is valuable given his production. The Jazz also own the Lakers' 2027 first-round picks. They might be hesitant to help the Lakers. Then again, they were the third team that helped facilitate the Doncic trade. Now, that is the biggest hurdle here, is the fact that he is the is that they own their 2027 first-round pick, rather. And that's not ideal, for the Lakers, because obviously it's very hard to trade. I mean, we know Danny Ainge came out and said if he knew it was for Doncic, he would have never done the deal to help facilitate the Doncic trade. However, now, if they own their 2027 first-round pick, it is top 4 protected. Are they really going to want to give up a center of the future for, to the Lakers and then hurt their pick? I think if you get the right package back, none of that will matter, and it'll all figure itself out. Because at this point, this report is huge, right? This is a very crucial report for this team, because we know, again, the conversations in the past were there with the Lakers getting Walker Kessler, but they were never willing to budge. They are finally now willing to discuss deals for both Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen, and that is huge. That is huge for this team, and it's huge, of course, for the Los Angeles Lakers front office plans, because we know the center conversations have been built around Nic Claxton. They've built around a couple of Daniel Gafford, who have an update video for you coming tomorrow on that. But at the end of the day, there's no real, really star center that they could go out there and get that could really pair with Luka for the future. I mean, Nic Claxton, sure, though I'm still a little bit hesitant on Claxton and the difference that him and Jackson Hayes are. Now, Nic Claxton is absolutely a better center than Jackson Hayes, but you're paying him 10 times the amount of money, whatever ends up being 10 to 12 times the amount of money. Will he really give you that amount of, production more? I don't know. But for Walker Kessler, I have full faith in it just because of the way that he plays. He's a fantastic rebounder, a very, very, very good defender, 2.4 blocks a game. But he's also only 23, still on a rookie contract. He's going to have to get a big contract. Not going to get a max or anything, but he's going to get a hefty contract here soon. But if the Lakers can snag him from Utah, this would be fantastic. Now, trade packages, you're talking probably similar to the Mark Williams one, Knecht in a first. You might have to find a way to add some more stuff into this deal, because if Kessler is available on the market, like these reports are saying, they're going to have to entertain a bunch of different teams. And ultimately, I think it's going to be difficult for the Jazz to move on from him without getting an absolute haul back. But boy, oh boy, would he be the perfect fit alongside Luka Doncic. I believe there was also some rumblings from Luka Doncic's, Rob Pelinka surrounding at the trade deadline when they, initially came over. Luka Doncic, that was from the Lakers. They talked with Rob Pelinka. They had their one-on-one conversation about who do you want, who do you not want. Mark Williams is someone Luka wants. and wanted. I believe that also Walker Kessler was one of those guys, and that's why they were so aggressive at the trade deadline surrounding Larry, not Larry Markkinen, but Walker Kessler. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. An extremely good player, would fit absolutely seamlessly, and ultimately, given the lack of depth that this team has, would be perfect for this Los Angeles Lakers team. But speaking of the Los Angeles Lakers team, let's touch on a few other things, because LeBron James has come out and revealed some interesting updates surrounding the Lakers, surrounding their plans on the recent Mind the Game pod. And I want to start with this one because there was a lot of conversation about Bronny James, Bryce James, how long LeBron's going to play under Bryce, LeBron and Bronny. There's so many different names here with B's. But how, influential LeBron is and has been surrounding, Bronny, and also whether or not Bronny's going to be playing next season. He came out and said, I've never got on the phone with the coaches, coach my son, coach him ever you want to, and I hope you hold him more accountable than any other kid here. And this directly pertains to the Lakers, because you look at the depth chart here. I mean, Bronny James isn't noted on this, but there's been recent reports coming out that Bronny James is going to be potentially even fighting and vowing for rotation minutes next year. And they're going to have to be as hard on him, and I'm sure they will be. Bronny had some very decent stretches. He's a lot better than I thought he was going to be when they drafted him. And I think there is a real world here, depending on who they get as their 3-and-D wing, that Bronny does play some minutes. But to see this from LeBron, an admirable quote, and of course, something that is very good. And also, I think alludes to the fact that LeBron is going to be playing next season, we all assume, with the Lakers. And who knows how many years he has left. Who knows how long he's going to be, on the Lakers and playing in the NBA. But being able to play with his kids, obviously a blessing. And he wants them to go as hard on Bronny than, any other player. Even Bryce as well is going to be a first round pick probably in a couple of years' time, 2027 or whenever the exact date is. Also, though, Steve Nash spoke out on the Doncic and LeBron duo here. And this is very interesting, of course, from a guy who knows the game, has a mind for the game, and no pun intended here. Something you guys have done naturally is to make the right play. You can make the spectacular play, but make the right play more times than now. They're going to put two on you guys. You empower your teammates, make the game easier for yourself. And it's interesting to hear, from both Steve Nash, maybe future coach, LeBron James, of course, in the podcast now in the offseason, how, because something that's not talked about enough. Of course, we talk about Doncic and Austin Reaves and how they're going to be developing a lot of chemistry, figuring out how to play alongside each other. Of course, we just know that naturally they're so good at basketball, and the best basketball minds there are, LeBron and Doncic, that they're going to figure it out. And they weren't even bad together. They were good together last year. Having a full offseason of Doncic and LeBron is going to do wonders for this team. And Steve Nash, he makes a very, very good point here. We know how good and how much of a beast that pairing is going to be, but being able to just make the smart play is something that I think they're going to slowly learn, especially Doncic, who's younger. Just make the right play, especially when you're playing with LeBron, because he's going to take care of the rest. And that's something that, again, hasn't really been talked about enough. And I think the development of those two guys, Doncic and LeBron, in the offseason, the chemistry, is something that's really going to propel this team into being a very, very good to elite team. Of course, you need to go out, you need to get the center, you need to go out and you need to get the 3-and-D wing, but the internal development is going to be the big difference here, because no matter who you get at the center position, it all relies on Doncic and LeBron James next season, along with Reaves. So some interesting comments there. LeBron's a beast. We love him, but it's going to be exciting. But let me know. You guys are also... Your guys' supports have been fantastic. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Do you think Walker Kessler is going to get traded to the Lakers? Do you think it would be a good fit? Do you think he's a beast, or do you think he's a little bit inflated because he's in Utah? Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.